basically a really cheap all-in-one liquid cooler. I think it's about $52 US, including the 15% VAT we have here. It's the equivalent of $52. The box is actually pretty plain simple. It's got the picture on the front, plus, what does it say? Pump design, cooling performance. Looks like the fans are specifically high air pressure, which is a good thing when you effectively case fans that can force air through a radiator. Okay, premium sleeve tubing, and we'll see that later, and universal compatibility and easy installation. Okay, we probably won't assess that in this video. That'll be in the next video. Box packaging is very basic, as you can see. Basically doesn't tell you anything there beyond the model number and the brand. That's just the brand. Same on the other side, and same here. Or this is the... No, that's not the lid. It looks exactly like the lid. That side. And on the back, we do have a few things, including measurements. Okay, so pump is 50 moles, which is basically 2 inches, I suppose, tall or height. And looks like we've got 70 moles. I don't know what that is actually measuring. Is that diagonal? It could be diagonal. It's a bit funny because I've got this extra thing here. Oh, that's the CPU socket. Okay, 70 mole diameter, and the fans are 140. There's the actual radiator length is 311 moles. So your 280 mole radiator becomes 311 moles. And with the fans, radiator and fans, it looks like it's 55 moles. So just over 2 inches thick. And yeah, I mean, there's the dimensions over there, and the water, yeah, 70 times 50. Tube length 400. Okay, that's not on here. That's useful. Speed 2100 is the pump, and the noise of the pump is less than 25 decibels, so that's pretty good. Current, I mean, 0.25 amps, that's very low. Water flow 116 liters an hour. Says it includes 2 fans, that's useful. Dimensions, okay, well, they're 25 more thick fans, and they're 140 by 140. 2 times 140 is 280, right? So that makes sense. The speed, okay, the variable speed, I'm going to guess they're PWM, but we'll take a look. 800 to 1600, plus minus 10%. And there's the static pressure, 2.14 millimeters of, well, H2O, aka water. There's the airflow, 67.8 cubic feet per minute. Noise level, 16.8 to 32.6 decibels. That's kind of interesting. So it can be louder than the pump, at less than 25 dB, so or less than equal to. So yeah, if you have them much quieter than 25 dBA, you're probably being a bit silly, although they are probably going to be on the front or top of your case, the fans, and the pump will be in the middle. So I suppose you could have them a bit below 25 dBA. Anyway, current input 0.3 amps. So it's interesting, they take slightly more than the pump itself. Oh, look, and there's a white LED on the pump. So the pump is very much plain, which is how I like it, aka stealth, if you want a cool word for it. Hydraulic bearings in the fans. I believe the pump has a ceramic bearing. There's the CPU sockets, basically this whole whack of Intels, and for AMD, AM4 and AM5. That's the new AMD one. That's the old one. And, well, I suppose you can see how many different sockets Intel pumps out, while AMD keeps reusing them like they did with AM4. And made in China, and some, little bits and pieces of information at the bottom here. Okay, at least we've identified which side is the lid now. Let's unpop that. And there we go. It's a nice long box. I think I'll move it this way. Cool, what have we got here? One fan. Okay, so it comes disassembled. Maybe put them in front. One fan, 2 fan, and the fans are branded. They're not, well, I'm pretty sure they're not, yeah, that looks like just a sticker on here. There's no white or anything on the fans. It's literally no LEDs, which I actually prefer. It's one of the reasons I bought this. Besides just being cheaper. Sounds like mounting hardware. We'll take a look. What have we got here? Alright. Okay, so it's the radiator at the bottom and the pump, and obviously the tubes between it, and then the lead power, which looks like a SATA power adapter, although it looks like it may be possible to yeah, you can unclip that. Then you can run it on a 3-pin fan header. Taking a look here. There's it. So, and with this one, it only uses 2 pins. Interesting enough. So yeah, I think I'll try and plug it onto a 3-pin if at all possible, because then you might have some sort of monitoring of the speed. Okay, if you look at the packaging, which I don't really want to spend too much time on, but that is some quality packaging, right? I mean, everything had foam around it. This piece of foam fell off, came up with a lid, so it was well protected. So yeah, your all-in-one cooler should arrive in one piece. Well, it actually comes in several pieces, but it shouldn't come in pieces smaller than it was shipped. Let's put it that way. Nothing should get broken. Let's take a quick look at the fans. Yeah, they've got rubber, what do you want to call them, vibration dampening mounts in the corners. Ooh, on both sides. How's that for fancy? Check each side. That side, well, like that, on all 4 corners. That's pretty cool. Let's check. How many pins is that? Well, there's four wires into a 4-pin header, so I'm going to say that's probably a PWM. Which is good. Then you can check the speed as well as adjust the speed. So that's pretty useful. And yeah, obviously the other one's the same. Like literally, these 2 are identical. So don't need to check that. Let's have a look here. Alrighty, there's the pump. Yeah, okay, it's still got a sticker on it, but that looks pretty nice. White LED apparently. And then, okay, we need to just remove that. That's probably just covering up the heatsink paste, which is pre-applied. I did buy some other heatsink paste just in case, but let's take a look at the radiator. Oh, I thought I had a small mark there, but it's just a piece of fluff or packaging. So yeah, the radiator fins look quite nice, not squashed. I mean, that's the closest to a squashed one is right there, at least on this side. I mean, that's barely I would really hardly struggle to say that's a defect, right? Next to my fingernail there. And then maybe check the other side. Yeah, it looks really nice. Yeah. On the side, ID-Cooling. This looks like it's just stuck on there. This is a piece of plastic. It's textured though, so it looks quite fancy. I do wonder sometimes about doing that kind of thing. And the other side has the same. The reason I say I wonder about that is like you struggle to see that. I suppose if you open your case, you might be able to see ID-Cooling, or if you've got a glass, whatever you call it, window or side panel, you should be able to see that. And the top is very bland, as well as the bottom, which makes sense because you'd really struggle to see that. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. And then the only thing I wonder a little bit about is, wouldn't you ideally want it to be like that? Yeah, probably like that. Okay, so then the logo does actually go the right way, which is cool. And then if you had it on top, yeah, that would also work. Basically what I'm referring to is keep the pump at the bottom so the air bubbles go into the radiator. You don't want your pump to run on air. It's made to pump a fluid. It does not like air. Cool, so that's what you get. Let's maybe do some assembly because, well, actually that's not all we get. We get the hardware, right? Let's see what we get in here. Oh, there's more still. Hang on. Yeah. Oh, well, look at that. There we go. There is some thermal grease. Guess I didn't need a bio. Oh, little rubber. Okay. I think I'm missing something here. Aha. In the box, found a manual. So there is an installation manual, which is probably just going to be useful for identifying all the bits and pieces here. Yep, there we go, component list. What are these things? Plastic insulator. Okay, although insulator is spelled wrong, it's insular or something. Missing a T. Let me just check here. I don't see any other obvious spelling errors. Yep, I mean that looks actually decent English. Using the fan mounting screws to secure the fans onto the radiator. Well, that would be the first step. Let's maybe identify them. 12 fan mounting screw times 8. So, well, that's 3. Weird. That's not a good sign. Actually, it's alright. One escaped. There we go. This packet maybe has a hole in it. But there they are. Just not in the packet. Very odd. Anyway, but that's what we need. The long ones. And the short ones, 11s, are radiator mounting screws. Okay, so that's to mount the radiator, and the long ones are to mount the fans. That makes sense. Long ones will go through the fan. I see on the radiator there's actually fan mounting holes on this side as well as this side. So both sides. That's useful to know. Now I imagine a push would be better than a pull. I wonder if they tell you anything like that. Let's see. Onto the radiator. They are actually saying do it, well, the other way, because I take these ones here, the pipes. Interesting. And the rest is all about mounting brackets. Well, if you have questions, contact customer support. They have an email address and a website. I've had a look on the website. It looks very basic, the website. Just shows you what the products they have are. They have a range of cooling solutions, ID-Cooling, not just these. Right, so just one thing, 280 versus 240. You can see the size. This is a 120 fan, this is a 140mm fan. So it's quite a big difference. If you add up that and that, that's, you could chunk more of this fan here, if you think about it. So like that, and then another stripe. So I think it's about 40% bigger than this. So don't let 120 versus 140 fool you. It's a lot bigger when you work out the area. Okay, so another thing is I've worked out that putting the fans on this side with the barbs makes a lot of sense, because the barbs come up and, well, you can't really use this space anyway. You can't put anything else here. So if you do put it this way, you just end up with basically, you put the fans on this side, you effectively get a much thicker, because this would then be offset, right, from whatever you're mounting it to. And now it goes closer to the frame, and these are taking up the dead space that you can't really use because these are here. I mean, you may have a different layout where you've got things that are coming in here, and these barbs go underneath it or above it, in which case that's great. Cool. The other thing I thought is I will put the fans with these two, well, together. That way these are the same length, the cords, as you can see. I'm just not holding them right there. You also get this little handy doodad. It's basically a splitter. I was wondering how I was going to plug these in, but I will be plugging them both into the CPU. One thing I noticed quite interesting is it's 4-pin to the CPU side, which makes sense. So you've got, you can see there's the 4 cables, and that means it has both fan speed sensing as well as fan speed control. But when you look at this socket, only one of them has got four pins and the other one has got 3. So the top one's got 3. Don't know how easy that is to see. Yeah, let's try and get them both lit up at the same time. Well, maybe like this. There we go. So the bottom one has 4 pins, and the top one, you can see it's actually missing a pin. But it's not really missing a pin, it's 3 pins. And I thought about it for a while. Then I realized, oh, well, hang on. You can report the speed and you can control the speed. So you only need to report the speed from one of the 2 fans, because you're going to be running them at the same speed. Because, well, they're going to get the same speed control from, well, I don't know if it's this pin or one of these 2. but both of them have those 3 pins. And only this one's got the one for sensing the speed, so pretty useful, pretty clever. Anyway, let's just open up these. Okay, fan mounting and radiator mounting screws. May as well show some assembly as well. Let's just put all the screws into the right spots. And I put them this way because I want them to pull air through. You know, if I had them on the other side, then I'd have them pushing through. Because I'm going to front mount this, and I don't really want it to be trying to push air out the front of the case. I don't think that's the best idea. Getting all the screws started. They all start very nicely, so that's a good sign of quality in my book. In the end, I decided, because this will probably be the side facing the side panel, although it's not glass, but if I do that, then the cables will be mostly out the way. So I'm going with that. Then I thought, hang on, so I can use this screw here as a bit of a cable routing, I don't know what you want to call it, mechanism. Then you may as well use the bottom one here as well. The same manner. If it doesn't work out, I'll just take the screw out and reroute the cables, right? I'm really just checking for gaps here between these rubber dampening, what do you want to call them, grommets, pads. Okay, so I've not tightened down one of the screws, but they all look like they're in contact. It just stops things rattling and moving. Alrighty, getting somewhere. May as well plug these in so long. So there we go. I'm not going to use that. And for the pump housing, you either have AMD or you have Intel, according to the manual, which is very handy. And then you use the small screws, which are handily in their own packet. And I think the manual is pretty clear. Basically, it says put them on that way. Yep, screws go from the bottom, so that's good. Imagine I said screws have to come from that side, right? Then I'd have a problem. Okay, I'm just going to try and eyeball it first. Yeah, okay. That might work better. Yes, there we go. Trick is to line up the holes first, right? Don't tighten that one all the way in. Just get it semi-snug. Put the other one in. Get it semi-snug, and then we can tighten that second one. Go back to the first one. Make it nice and tight. Not too tight, we don't want to break the thing. This might be metal, but there's plenty of plastic here, although it does seem quite nice, thick plastic. Let me do the other one. If you get it up, if you line it up just right, you can see there's a bit of light through there. So, by line it up, I mean line up your eyes with something light on the background. Then you can slot it through there. You can see the holes. And then it's much easier. So there's always a method that's easier and a method that's harder. So once I figured that out, you can see much easier. Loosen that one a sec. And voila, it's pretty much assembled. These are to mount it in the case. And then depending on which socket you've got, right? So, for example, if you've got Intel, that's 1700, which is usefully labeled. And well, those are arms, I'm pretty sure. For any Intel, you need that. So there's the Intel replacement backplate. Apparently the AMD one does not need to be replaced. So that's handy. And then you've got this other mounting hardware. If you look really closely at the pictures in the manual, you can figure out what's going on here. I'm going to open it rather. I put multiple things in this bag, which makes it confusing. You need to sort out what you need for what style you have. Well, I shouldn't say confusing. I mean, come on, that's pretty obvious. And these are Intel ones. See, the AMD ones have got this, I don't know, what do you want to call it, like built-in washer, I suppose. 4 of those. At least they can count in the factory, right? 4 for Intel, which we don't need for now. Put that to the side. And we will need these afterwards. So these will go into the motherboard like that, with one of those by the looks of it. And then this will go on through here. 4 of them, and the nut goes on top to hold them all down. So may as well put the nuts on there to not lose them. Make it harder to lose. I'm going to do some case modding to put this thing in this case I have. In the instructions, which describes, it mentions put the plastic insulator if you have between the motherboard and the metal standoffs. So like the picture indicates, but non-obviously, it's actually stated very clearly in point 2, which is for image 2. Then we get to play with that. First, case modding time. It goes to show, I think, that the instructions are pretty clear, and all the bits are there that you need, so that's good. Right, so in the end, that's the pump, which looks good. I mean, I like the braided hoses. They're quite smooth, woven, look nice. Very minimalistic looking pump housing, just with an LED to make that light up. And yeah, if you take a look at the quality of whatever the anodizing of the aluminium radiator, it looks nice. The fans actually look nice. I don't mean they look pretty, I mean they look of good quality. There doesn't seem to be any dark cracks in them or funny marks in them, etc. I mean, the only thing I could say about these fans that I would prefer is if they had an arrow on them saying that they blow that way, right? Little arrow just here, like you can see on some other fans. I mean, this is on a Fantex fan. You can see it's got an arrow showing, which is quite useful when you're trying to figure out. I actually plugged it in to figure out that it blows that way. Other than that, yeah, I like it. I mean, literally, the quality for what I paid for it is really impressive. No RGB. I don't know if that makes it warmer or cooler though. So anyway, I hope you found that useful. Cheers.